Hello, everybody. Welcome to the IC Topic Chats. It is Thursday, and it is the 9th of September. Oh, when did that happen? Isn't that crazy? It felt like it was just summer. We are joined today by Ann Price, who's going to be talking about standard operating procedures. Ann's been a colleague of mine for many, many years, good friend, and she's also got a session that she does regularly called office hours for people who are just starting out their consulting practices. But with that, I'll pass it off to Ann and let her take it away and talk about standard operating procedures.
Hey, thanks, Christine, for the shout out. I can't multitask that well, but thank you for the thoughts about Ellie. I appreciate that. So, hey, everybody, my name is Ann Price again. I am president of Community Evaluation Solutions. I am based in the Metro Atlanta area, which encompasses a lot of Georgia if you're from this area. So I've been in business since 2004. And as I always tell my mentees, most of what I share with them, I've learned from Hard Knocks. I think most of us would agree, other than Kamani, we didn't go to business school. We're just making this stuff up as we go along, truth be told. So that's where this topic came from. And I will tell you why as we go along. So we're going to be talking about standard operating procedures and other systems to help you manage your business. So, oh my God, here you go. It's cringeworthy. This was my first logo. Isn't it horrible? It's horrible. I always kind of knew it was horrible, but my web guy, he did my logo. You'll notice my tagline hasn't changed. I've always kept my tagline. I still love it. I always introduce myself as a community psychologist. And I do evaluation, right? My identity is as a community psychologist. I do a lot of work with community coalitions and collaboratives. I'm all about systems level change and social change. That really is where my heart is. Evaluation is just how I practice. So yeah, so that's kind of where I started. It was me, myself, and I. Occasionally, I would grab one of the other moms in the neighborhood to help me do data entry or maybe take notes at a focus group. I was paying all my own invoices, all of the things. Now, Susan, who's also on the call, still does all this stuff by herself. I'm not that organized. So as I grew, I brought on a part-time office manager, and we kept that going for a while. Changed my logo again to kind of reflect our growth. We wanted something a little bit more modern as far as the logo goes. And about this time, I hired my first full-time RA. So in 2020, I took a week off, spent it on my back, cleared my schedule, stayed on my back deck. It was a beautiful week in March in Georgia, beautiful weather. And I stayed out there the whole time and completely redid my business plan. I had in mind a shift from having full-time employees to more having senior level evaluators that I could contract with, that I could really, that would be thought partners. And frankly, that I didn't have to work so hard managing. I love mentoring folks. I love mentoring new evaluators, but the churn every couple of years as they came in, got the training, and then, flew off and did their own thing. It was just a lot. It was really exhausting. And to tell you the truth, kind of heartbreaking. I cry every single time one of them walks out the door. Even though, as a parent, you're always happy to see your children fly out of the nest. I really wanted something different. So I have rebranded yet again. And if you don't take anything else from this talk today, I hope you understand that your business will change and morph over time. And it should. It really should. So here's our new logo. I kind of like my old logo. I wasn't quite done with it, but a friend of mine who is in marketing said, Nat, you need something more modern, more sleek. We can talk about whether or not those look like pizza boxes or not, but I love the colors. I'm all about blue and green. And my tagline is still the same. It's still partnering for social change. But whether you bring on full-time employees or have contractors, you need to have standard operating procedures. So as I said, change is inevitable. It was time for a change. I think all of us spent a lot of time in 2020 and even now contemplating how we want to spend our time. I'm probably on the tail end of my career. I'm probably like Gail. I'll probably never retire, but maybe I don't want to work 50, 60 hours a week. So that is part of the impetus, not only 2020, but just me really looking at my career trajectory. So if it's time for change, I knew that I really needed to put some processes in place that would help me manage my business better. So SOPs are standard operating procedures, and they really should be a set of written or even video instructions for repetitive tasks, anything that you do that you have to do over time. This could apply to proposal writings, evaluation plans, SOWs, contracts, anything that you do over time would benefit by a standard operating procedure. And I've learned that the hard way. Again, learning from my mistakes, not always my successes, most often my mistakes. So let's talk about the benefits of SOPs. First of all, it helps you save time. If anything drives me batty more than anything else, it's running around trying to find a file somewhere. It drives me absolutely nuts. So if you have a standard operating procedure, it really cuts down on the time. You're not always reinventing the wheel. You grab your SOP, you follow the instructions, and off you go. Also, when you're onboarding, whether it be an employee or a contractor, whatever your business model is, or even if it's just you, I'll tell you a story about why when it's just me in a minute. But anyway, SOPs help save you time. And then standardizers, it helps standardize your product so that all of your contracts are the same. All of you, even your outlines for the report, maybe not the evaluation questions, of course, those are all going to be customized, but maybe the look and the feel is the same so that you're not having to spend time trying to figure out how to get started, right? So my templates, my SOWs, my contracts, all of those things are pretty similar. I don't really have to spend a lot of time. We even have what we call in-house a project cost estimator that we use to estimate projects. So that is very standardized. So the only thing that changes is maybe the deliverables and the specifics around those. And then keeps your brand consistent. So part of I didn't just have a new logo, I have a new brand guide. And that's one of the things that I'm really honing in on is making sure that everything that I do is reflected of my brand. So I'm going to wear blue when I'm on camera, or the pictures that I'm going to use in my blog are going to have those color tints so that when people see those colors and see our logo, they know. So an SOP around these kinds of things helps keep your brand consistent and in front of people. It also helps reduce errors. If there's a mistake to be made, Susan will tell you, I'll make it every dang time. I'm very visual. I'm really creative. Yeah, details not so much. That's probably not a great thing to admit to this group, but yeah. So SOPs really kind of help me. So the story yesterday is I have a podcast, Community Possibilities, 12 episodes strong. Yay, go look it up. But the system I use to produce the email that I'm using, it's just kind of funky. So I create that in Word and then I copy it over to the system, right? Well, here's where I needed an SOP because I created the hyperlink to the episode, forgetting, because I didn't have an SOP, that when I pasted it into my email provider, the links go away. I forgot that, right? So yeah, my guest pings me yesterday and said, hey, you didn't put the links in like you usually do. Crap, right? So SOPs do all those things, helps you from making those errors, standardizes the process, all of those kinds of things. And then it helps you create consistency as your business changes, because back in October, November, Sally, who's in the corner there in the white sweater, who was my office manager for 12 years, she's been threatening to retire for a while. She finally pulled the plug. right? And so Rebecca came on, she's the long dark hair. And then Rochelle, who was my full-time RA and had been with me for 2 years, decided to go on to greener pastures. So I had plenty of time. That was not, I mean, it wasn't that big of a shock, but it's still like emotionally very stressful when you have a small business. So SOPs help you standardize your process and educate everybody about how you do your business, right? Because your brand is also tied to the quality of your work. And when you are contracting with other folks, or when you are a contractor or your employees, you want that quality to be just as it was when it was just you doing all of the work, right? So examples of SOP. So how to update a client-specific data spreadsheet. We have the Georgia Student Health Survey here in Georgia. We have a lot of substance abuse prevention clients, and we create dashboards, all sorts of fun things. So we needed an SOP. So one of the things that Rochelle did before she left was create SOPs and knowledge transfers. And we'll talk about knowledge transfers in a minute. How to post a survey to SurveyMonkey, right? I have an undergraduate student who helps us with those kinds of tasks. And I don't want to have to like talk to her every time she needs to do that, but she may forget some details. So it's just nice to have an SOP that she can pull from if she needs to remind herself how to do something. How to use your project management system. We've talked about that before. I know I've talked about that before on this, on the IC chats, and I know other people have too. I'm going to tell you about that again in a second. And then how to post on social media so you don't do what I did yesterday. So let's talk about knowledge transfers. I think of those as a little different. I think about it differently than I do an SOP. So an SOP is really for those standardized tasks. A knowledge transfer is more of information that you want to just pass on, but it may not be a repetitive task. So tips for if I have an intern, which I usually do every summer. I don't have one this summer, but usually every summer I have an intern, and they may or may not be familiar with SPSS, or maybe USAS, whatever it is. So maybe I have a tip sheet for them. We have a tip sheet for a data viz checklist. So here's the font size we want to have. We want to have no grid lines, just those kinds of things that are really important to our quality standard, our brand. And then quality checks for reports. We have a list of things that need to be checked off before it even hits my desk for review. How to check a skip pattern in a survey. Again, that may not be something that everybody knows how to do. It's not really an SOP, but it's something that's helpful. How to create a simple dashboard, because we do some of that as well. Not as good as Tom, Matt, but we do okay. And then we have standards around rules for collaboration. So nothing is stored on the desktop. If it's project related or it's client related, that should not be on somebody's desktop, because I don't have access to that. Shared system for that, we use either Dropbox or OneDrive, and we use Google Drive for collaboration. Susan and Kamala and Jen and I and Akimi just did a beautiful grant proposal, and it worked really well collaborating in Google. I've been slow to the Google train, I admit it, but for collaboration, you kind of can't beat it. So you really need to think about, if you have a team, whether they're employees or 1099s, how are you going to share information and what are your standards? So I had to show you this. I still had this picture. This was my first project management system. This was my old office in my house before I moved. These were just Pottery Barn, like, office organizing. I am not kidding. So there's my calendar in the middle, and then the little squares at the top, those are the name of the clients, and these are the tasks. I told you I was really visual, so I would like write it out. Here are all the things that have to be done, and then we'd have a space where we move it, this tab over here. Yeah, that was just so much fun. I can't even tell you. That was when it was me and Sally. And then I didn't put Toggle in here, but I've talked about Toggle before. And I know a lot of you use Toggle. I used the free version. I don't know if they even have a paid version that keeps your time. I needed something more sophisticated as we grow. We probably have 10 clients at any time, all with different deliverables, dates, invoices, and we needed a project management system. So we use FunctionBox. That's what we use now. And in it, we can program the client name, the projects, because often we'll have one client, but they have several different funding streams that we're evaluating. So all of the tasks are in there by timeline, by cost. We can do a profit and loss estimate on each project. We can create action items for each other, set deadlines, look at a calendar view to see where we're tracking. And it also has a blog function. So it used to be that I had like a Word document and we would keep notes about each client in that. Now we don't do that. We have it in one place. We're really trying to get away from paper. Used to have like binders on each client. Don't do that anymore. Everything's electronic in a shared system. And then communication, I have asked my consultants to give me a weekly status update. Part of the shifting was Sally did a lot of project management. Rebecca still does some of that, but she's 11 months in, where Sally had 12 years. So just to kind of help us stay on track, the consultants once a week give us here are the projects I'm working on for you. Here are my deliverables, and here is where I stand with that deliverable or the date. I'm either on target or whatever it is. Not a fan of meetings. I pretty much hate meetings. I hate meetings where it's just information sharing. I'm all about decision making. So I've got to check in with my folks this afternoon, but it's all about what is the question you have for me? What is the business decision that we have to make? But if it's information sharing, that can be sent in an email. So we have standards around even communication within our team. I'm trying to talk Susan into instant messaging, but haven't quite got her to do that yet. But and then electronic or no, Susan will tell you she's laughing. She's a write it out girl. She's a paper girl. I'm all about my iPhone. Everything goes on my iPhone and links to my Outlook. That's how I do my calendar. So Matt, you may not know this, but I now start doing 5.5 tips. This is my homage to you, right? So start now. Don't wait until you are almost, oh my God, almost 20 years in business. How the heck did that happen? Don't wait. Start thinking about your standard operating procedures now, the things that you need knowledge transfers on. I know all of you are busy doing the client work as well as managing your business. So set yourself a goal and do a little bit every day to kind of put that structure around to help your business be successful. And as I learned yesterday, follow the processes you create. Don't do what I do. And remember, things are going to change. Your business is going to change. That's natural. That's a good thing. Be willing to change your processes, all of those things as your business changes. Create a file structure and a naming system and make sure everybody follows it. So we have a standard way that we name files, all those kinds of things. And oh yeah, train your team. Share those SOPs, those knowledge transfers. So Matt, that's what I have about SOPs and other ways to manage your business.
I love it. We were talking about this topic and I just thought, well, what SOPs do I have? But actually I put in my questions here. There was a couple other questions. So my boilerplate contracts, my reports, those are SOPs, but I would never ever thought of it that way. I just think, well, that's just a shortcut, but it really is a boilerplate.
Right, man. You could call them templates. I have several templates that I use, but it is to standardize the process of writing the report. So I mean, while it's not technically an SOP, it falls in the same kind of making things consistent and easier to do over time.
Right. Yeah, and we do have those templates for a proposal, for an SOW, for a report, for for any of those kinds of things.
So Ian, one that you missed is a standard operating procedure for all of the electronic technology applications you use. I just lost an employee who was the person who did Sign Up Genius. She edited the website. So, I still run SurveyMonkey, but she ran all of these other things. So getting
Yeah.
the username and login information.
Oh,
But
got all
then
that.
also, how do you go from one to the other? So it was all the technology applications that
Yeah.
I had to have her write before she
Yep.
left. And we
Yeah.
missed a couple of them. So I've
Yeah.
been chasing her down to going, I can't get into the website editor. And we
Right.
found out what it was. So
Yeah, that's really true. And we have that too, but I did not list that. So thank you for mentioning that.
All right, before we keep going on, I'm going to go ahead and pause or stop the recording so we can just kind of open into conversations. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Feel free to join us on Thursdays at 12 noon for more IC topic chats.